Yeah, so Project Yooka-Laylee.
Oh, yes.
It's a video game now.
Are you excited, Tom?
I'm a very big Banjo-Kazooie fan.
Are you excited? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just gonna, no, I wasn't actually. Yeah, okay, we'll get to that. But I was going to say that I just left a really sour taste in my mouth that it's called Project Yooka-Laylee and then the game's called Yooka-Laylee. I thought that was just really just pissed me off.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
I thought it made sense.
so
You know,
cheap.
Banjo-Kazooie, ukulele.
No, I get it. It's just like such a just such a lame pun. Like, oh, it's called Project Yooka-Laylee and the game's called Yooka-Laylee. Oh, but I'm just being cynical.
That's a little callous of you, then.
I'm just being a cynical prick.
That honestly didn't bother me. I just
thought it was a really lame pun, really lazy. But basically, so yeah, whatever.
Like, your attempt at jokes is not funny.
So, Playtonic Games, they announced a couple of months ago that they were working on this game. It was called Project Yooka-Laylee, like I said. But they said they were doing a Kickstarter then. I totally forgot they were doing a Kickstarter. But that Kickstarter has started, and it was funded in 45 minutes, was it?
That was...
Yeah.
Well,
to be fair, the goal was like 175k, so it wasn't actually that much. To be fair, it was like a pretty small goal for what it was. It was in pounds, 175,000 pounds. But what were you gonna say? Go on.
I remember seeing that the Kickstarter before it had been funded yet, and I just went and glanced at it and thought, oh well, that's good. I hope it makes it. Continued like an hour later. Jesus.
Yeah, like it just rocket. Well, to be fair,
I think it took 1 hour to make $1 million. Was it or something like that?
Or
$1 million.
$1 million. No, it was 1 hour to make $1 million, which is like £600,000. So the last time I checked, which was last night, it was at £1.3 million. So
they've reached all their stretch goals, having to add new ones as it keeps climbing.
I think that's $2 million. I'm not sure.
It's gonna
it is being tracked in pounds because it's a British thing, obviously. But
it's gonna like simultaneously release on all platforms now. It's reached all the stretch goals
and the Wii U. Or something.
And the Wii U.
Oh, have you seen some of the stretch goals? Like, I think the furthest echelon, which is all taken at this point. Like,
some of them seem really lame.
They like got the voice actor who did Banjo, I think, to bring you into their studios, train you in voice acting, and then have you voice one of the characters in the game.
Really? That's a mad. We saw one that I got pretty annoyed by, which was like they were going to do. They wanted 100,000 to do a developer
Let's Play,
a Let's Play developer diary. I was like, are you joking at this point? I don't know.
What?
Well, they had to keep making up stretch goals as they kept getting more and more money.
You could think of something better than that. That's fucking lame. That's like
that
a marketing
one that said we
ploy,
need
like,
a
what?
paper shredder or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
We need a new
we
coffee
need some
machine.
new chairs.
Just as it keeps coming, we need new chairs. Done. Oh, okay. Coffee machine.
Like, I think, to be fair, weirdly enough, they must have not anticipated so much hype and so much money coming in so quickly.
They probably didn't. I probably don't think they saw so much coming in. I mean, there's been recent other retro games remade, such as Toe Jam and L, which didn't see such money made in such short time.
But the weird thing about the game is that it's only like a £10, $15 thing. Like for what it's like, I don't know how big it's going to be scale wise, but it doesn't sound.
Do you know what I always found weird? I spoke to you about this. Is when something's crowdfunded, why do they still charge for the game?
Because they need to.
Because they're crowdfunding for the game, and people who crowdfund get the game, but then they're selling it as retail product.
I always thought, like, well, if people are crowdfunding the game and the whole thing's been paid for to be developed, why not just give it away free?
Because
I guess, but it's still a retail.
What a crazy idea, isn't it? I don't know.
I guess, but that's just. I think like that's all pie in the sky, great idea. But as soon as the business realities come in,
I don't know. That probably doesn't fit in any business model like ever. Yeah.
You'd be kicked out of a boardroom in seconds. Like,
I suppose the problem would be your studio wouldn't be able to continue with it.
Yeah, there's no way. Like, if they want to keep making stuff, and you know, like if for some of these like larger, like old RPG stuff that like huge games, like to give them away for free would be insane because they are huge games. So, I don't know, but so basically they announced that Yooka-Laylee, Yooka-Laylee is the name. Obviously Banjo-Kazooie, it's just totally that. The two characters are like a total like weird chameleon Gex the Gecko rip-off thing, and then like a purple bat, which I think both those characters just look really. They don't do anything for me, but I don't know. I don't know if you like those characters, Tom.
Come on, Tom, give us that Nintendo fanboyism. You're a band. Did you back this?
No, I didn't.
How do you think it got there so quickly?
It was backed by the time I wanted to go and back it, so I thought, like, what's the point?
I mean, I safe to assume you're our like resident banjo guy here, so
yeah, sure.
Well, I mean, do those characters I
won't
do anything for you?
I won't claim they're as iconic to me.
Stir anything in your body?
What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know.
What you talking about?
Did you like them?
They weren't Banjo and Kazooie in terms of quality, but they got the job done.
In terms of quality, I mean, I think they are in terms of
quality
quality
of character design.
I feel like they sort of represent Banjo-Kazooie, don't they? Really?
Oh yeah,
really, if you look, when I looked at them, I sort of thought, well, they're just like a non sort of don't sue me sort of way. They are Banjo-Kazooie.
The guy and his little weird bird thing, but it's actually a bat, so don't sue me.
Yeah.
But apparently they're actually being designed by the guy who designed the
entire game.
They got the whole dream team, in they all ready to go.
They said in the video which I watched, on the Kickstarter page, they actually tried to make a point to set up the team and everything about it in the way they did in the N64 days when they were making for Rareware.
I'm going to say something probably quite controversial to you, Tom.
Yes.
I actually didn't like Banjo-Kazooie. I've been quite open about this. I've never liked these 3D sort of adventure games. I don't like Jak and Daxter. I don't like Banjo-Kazooie. Did you just call it Jak and Daxter? Whatever it's called. Jax, isn't it? Jackson.
Jack. It is, yeah.
Jak and Daxter.
Yeah,
Jak and Daxter, whatever you want to call it. I don't like Spyro the Dragon.
I like Spyro the Dragon.
I didn't like any of those sort of 3D adventure games. They weren't really my thing. But apparently there are lots of other people's things. So this has been pretty massive. And plus, I know Banjo-Kazooie is a bit of a meme. It's quite popular, isn't it? It's like very nostalgic to people, isn't it?
Like the gameplay is fun. The character design is solid. The music is to die for. It's a great game. Great all around.
But
to die for, do you not agree with that, Dan?
No, I don't
know. I feel like sometimes people mention this stuff, and I feel like I have to go back and play it because at the time I didn't enjoy Banjo-Kazooie.
I don't
know. Maybe if I go back,
if you want to talk about somebody who loves the fuck out of those games, talk to Louis because he's all over them.
I'm going to say it. I prefer Banjo-Kazooie to Mario 64.
Well, you're an idiot, so we're moving on. We're not dwelling there. We're not doing it. Get out.
Weirdly enough, I didn't like Mario 64 either. These 3D adventure games. We're
definitely not dwelling on that. Okay, don't say that to Louis ever because he'll rip your head off. That's like his favourite game of all time. But lost my point. But yeah, I don't know. I think this is getting so much attention, not just because it's like the Banjo or whatever, but like 3D platformers have just been so like.
Has there been? Maybe?
They've been like dead for like years. Like, what was the last one you'd actually consider to be a 3D platformer? Like,
probably what was it called? The release Knack or PS4 release title.
I laugh when you say Knack, Tom.
I don't know. It's been a long time.
The last good one. How about?
Oh, last good one probably.
That's not a remake.
Well, just like a brand new one.
Probably
like, not a HD release.
What was it called? Something.
Like it's probably like probably thinking like late PS2 era. I can't think of anything on the 360.
Little Planet or something.
Big Little Planet.
That's not a
Little Big Planet. Sorry, that's not really. That's more. It's a different thing.
Got the sort of the
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, sure. But this kind of thing, like it was just fucking everywhere on the N64 and the PlayStation 1. It was just rampant. You couldn't get away from them. Like every shitty fucking licensed cash-in was the 3D platformer. So
so it was sort of the go-to genre back there, whereas these days it's the first-person shooter.
It's not even that anymore. That was like the 360 days. I don't know what it is anymore. It's like fucking early access, unfinished shit.
I suppose
that's kind of the go-to. Yeah. But I'm going to keep my eye on that. I'm curious to see how high it gets. I think it's capped. I think it's going to cap it. I think it'll slowly increase. I think it'll get to 2 million and maybe 3 million. But I don't think it's going to. I think like the initial leap to 1 million was just people who knew they were going to back because they'd already said it, so they were just getting ready to back. So I think that wave is gone, and now it's just going to slowly increase.
Yeah, it was also just people who loved Banjo-Kazooie, saw the thing and just went, yes, all this in my face.
That's what I mean. Those are the people who already knew they were going to back once they announced it. So
yeah,
I don't think it's going to go too crazy. I think it's going to break records.
It seems to me like Playtonic are more than capable of handling this. They got a great team to remake this sort of Banjo-Kazooie sequel or whatever they want to call it. Yeah. It's not a sequel. The spiritual successor.
Yeah, that's the one.
And it seems now assured that they've got the money to do it as well.
Totally.
So
if they only wanted 100,
seems like they're going to be able to make a pretty decent game.
I mean, I don't go crazy for those games. I don't hate them. I don't really love them. They're fine. But a new one of them could. Do you want a new one of them, Tom? Really? Do you really think you want a new one?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no doubt in Tom's
Thinking
mind.
back, all nostalgia aside, just thinking back objectively to what those games are. They are just like collectathons. All you do in Banjo-Kazooie is just collect the fuck out of everything.
Yeah,
do you want that in 2015?
Yeah, it's a.
Do you still want that, Tom? Is that
I'm being serious.
It was a commonly used game mechanic. It admittedly can get a bit old after a while, but they did it so well.
Okay.
That it just.
I mean, I don't know. I go back and forth on it. I think
collectathon is usually used as sort of like an insult to games these days.
Oh no, I'm using it as just like a description. Like that's just what it is. You just collect.
But the things are so well hidden, and it's just the worlds are so well fleshed out and good, fun to explore.
I guess just maybe just the novelty of like a colourful, bright world like that on a modern system that looks really nice.
It could look really good.
That would be enough to.
I mean, let me say this. Do you remember Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
That game's great. That game's fucking great. It's the best Banjo-Kazooie game.
Is it?
Yeah, it's great. It's fucking amazing. People go so back and forth on that. People either love it or they fucking hate it. And I'm going to assume
what was wrong with it?
Okay.
I'm going to assume Tom hates it. I think that game's fucking
Let me
great.
just say this. I respect what they were trying to do.
It's the best Banjo-Kazooie game, by the way.
For
your information.
A little nervous twitch
honestly,
there.
I played Banjo-Kazooie, but it just didn't... I was like, oh, what's this? Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, they tried to get all self-referential with Nuts and Bolts and tried to check that, because they were bringing back a new old genre. This is a sitting game, by the way, because they're trying to get a new demographic. They had to do something new, and they made it a car simulator.
It's fucking great.
Really?
You build shit.
Car simulator?
No, it's not a car simulator. You fucking build shit like I don't know what you'd even compare it to, like some sort of fucking crazy Lego game where you fucking build shit and you're building vehicles and you do all sorts of cool shit, and it's better than Banjo-Kazooie 1 and 2. Done. That game's great. I love that game. Original games, whatever.
Okay, let me just say this.
We're going on this. Tom's going to get pretty mad, I think, in a minute.
I'm this close to tearing your throat out there.
I think it's
let
great.
me just,
I'm not trying to wind you up. I actually think it's amazing.
Let's close it off with this. The reason Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was so universally hated wasn't necessarily because
everyone's a fucking rampant
bad.
fanboy, and
let me guess, Tom's going to say Banjo-Kazooie was his childhood in a minute, or something
everyone
like that.
Looks back at the N64 days with like this golden heyday, and they don't see the sheer fog that was on every video.
Those rose-tinted glasses.
They don't see, like, you look back at it, it's like, I think back to Turok, and I think, I can't see 2 feet in front of me because of the sheer fog. This awful console with these shitty games people just fucking drool over.
Do you know, weirdly
That's
enough,
why people go nuts about it.
I actually had an N64, like back when everyone's got these nostalgia days
from.
Like but I was like such an awkward weirdo adult at the time that I never played any of these games. So like anything like Banjo-Kazooie, Mario just totally didn't appeal to me because I felt like at the time I felt like they were kids games, like quote unquote there. But so I ended up just playing these really obscure, like weird games on the N64. Like if I told you the games that I played, they were like the weirdest.
Terrible.
I might talk about some of them. Actually, next
podcast.
But
John's
my experience with the N64 was extremely different to everyone else's. I played these really weird attempts at sort of like serious games. It was just
the N64 is just fucking shitty. It had about...
I also played a lot of wrestling games.
There was a lot of those on N64. None of those were good, but.
I disagree there.
Maybe some of them were
WCW versus NWO.
Maybe some of them were
good. May I please finish?
Not done
WrestleMania
yet.
2000.
Yeah, that was alright.
You're offending everyone. Even me. And I don't even like N64.
Yeah. But fucking that console is just full of like 3D platformers done to death. I would say there's probably about 10 games on there that are just great. Like Mario 64, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, maybe if you're into
Mario
that.
Kart 64.
Yeah, this is also like Donkey Kong 64 is alright, I guess. Like there's plenty of stuff on there.
They're not amazing though. People act like they're the best games ever.
Yeah,
like,
and
we did the whole podcast on Nintendo. Overrated. Do you remember that?
They're just rare. You know, this sort of bleeds back into that. Like
Tom's twitching. He's going nuts. Yeah,
and I'll let you have your piece in a minute.
Give him his piece because
all I want to say
disbelieves what we.
It's just that I get really sick. It's people our age because we're about 18, 19. We're of the era where we could have had N64s as kids and played these games as kids, which I'm sure you did, and I know Louis did, and that's why you and him have this rampant fanboyism, which I didn't. I always had a PlayStation. I had an N64. I played like Pokemon fucking Stadium. That's alright. Yeah. I didn't
Pokemon Snap.
Yeah, like, I had N60. I had Mario 64, but I didn't really play too much of the N64, so I don't have that nostalgia. So I look back and I think this is just a foggy mess. But go on, defend it.
Okay, first and foremost, I'm going to finish my point before you cut me off and did a massive rampant thing on the N64.
Shit console.
It's not a shit console.
The reason that Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts was so universally despised by Banjo-Kazooie fans is because in the trailers and such, they were promised this sort of spiritual sequel to Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay, maybe I guess from
that is the reason they were almost open arms.
From that perspective, I can
not
see,
rampant fanboyism, because they were literally promised a false product.
Nintendo does attract rampant fanboyism, though.
Is it not the same thing? Nah. I mean, I could imagine if you were expecting like Banjo 3 and you got that, you'd be disappointed. But for what it is, I think that game's great.
Now, I could go on a massive rant as to why Banjo-Kazooie is not the shit game you think it is.
Right.
Well, I'll first make the point that I'm not blinded by childhood fanboyism because I've played Banjo-Kazooie this year.
I never said it was shit. It's fine. Fine game.
Yeah.
I don't think it's amazing.
Even I, who didn't like it, wouldn't say it was shit. I would say people hold it up as this shining light of amazingness.
I just don't get why.
And I would sort of some games like
it's got great design, great characters. It's got, as I said, great soundtrack.
It's got just a bear and a parrot or whatever. It's not. There's nothing mind blowing about that. There's no depth to the characters.
Why are you looking for depth in it? Like
well, I'm just saying. You said it's got great characters. I'll counter that and say wrong. Actually, it's just a fucking bear and a parrot. Like there's nothing great about that. It's just.
Why would you phrase it like that?
I'm saying it's two rather obscure sort of characters. Even in the animal kingdom, to use a bear and a parrot.
Seriously, Dan, did you just like zone out and just start randomly listing off the kind of porn you watch?
I don't know why they just came out. But go on, Tom. Tell me why it's like God's gift to man.
Okay,
childhood.
You're attacking my childhood. No.
I mean, obviously the characters aren't as deep and meaningful as you'll see in other games, but they're
not meant to be. I know.
Yeah, it's a kids' game. It's bright and colourful.
It's a kids' game. You're not allowed to say that about Nintendo's games. They're not kids' games, Tom. That's totally offensive to every Nintendo fan.
No, Banjo-Kazooie was a kids' game.
I said it again. Cut that out.
That doesn't mean adults can't enjoy it.
Just calling it a kids' game. God, what are you saying, Tom? What are you saying about Nintendo fans? Some weird man-boyish freaks who just want to play kids' games.
Is this what the argument has devolved to?
No, go on. We'll give you your piece.
No, but you know that's only a joke.
What's that, Tom?
But no,
kill all the Nintendo players.
But no, that is a joke. But I have said that before myself that certain Nintendo games were kids games and it has attracted a lot of aggression.
Yeah,
because a lot of people just refuse to see
in denial.
Yeah,
I admit, but the thing, even some of the classics on the N64, like Ocarina of Time.
You're going to call Ocarina of Time a kids game as well?
No, no. But things like Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, even to a degree Mario 64. I mean, people played them as kids, haven't played them.
What about the people who played them as adults, Tom? Everyone wasn't a kid when you were a kid. You know that, right?
What?
So obviously many people played these as adults.
I thought we aged at the same time.
Do you understand the world didn't start when you were born, Tom? Like a whole range of ages played these games. I just don't know.
Yeah. Right,
carry on though.
I'm just saying that a lot of people played. A lot of people, not everyone. Listen to me.
I don't know what you mean though, because in my mind, actually, probably the amount of people that played them as kids was probably similar to the amount of people that played them as adults.
Yeah, probably. Especially for something like Mario, which has been around for like a good decade before that came out.
Okay, let me phrase the point under a different.
Again, Tom.
Okay, I will phrase the point under a different thing. When it was released back then, it was probably the most revolutionary thing in 3D gaming. Mario 64.
I don't know. Well,
yeah,
I suppose you could argue to a certain extent
it was one of the most revolutionary things, and that's,
I think revolutionary is the wrong word, but I see what you're going for. It pushed what 3D could do.
Yeah,
and it did it well.
People haven't gone back to play it in a while, and still have this mass idea of this amazing god. When a lot of games these days have almost surpassed it to a degree, but I mean. Banjo-Kazooie is one of the games that I don't think that, because as well as being amazing back then, because it was a kids' game, it was bright, it was colourful, all that stuff.
Not a kids' game, I've gone. It was marketed as a kids' game. Carry on.
Don't take them.
What do you mean it wasn't
I'm just saying, you personally can't categorise it as a kids' game.
Yeah, I know, but what do you mean it wasn't marketed? Was it like marketed with lots of guns and violence?
It wasn't what are you saying? Adults can only like guns and violence now? As an adult, can I only look at fucking 18 plus content, Tom?
Do you remember how the game was marketed?
Do I remember? Yeah, of course I do. I remember the adverts. It was sort of like it was no age. It was just. It wasn't like, hey kids. Do you know what I mean? Like a McDonald's advert. It was just a bear and a fucking parrot. Do you know what I mean? Well, what I'm saying is, it wasn't like specifically marketed at children. It was just marketed at Nintendo fans.
Sure, I guess.
Okay.
Go on, Tom. Stop digging yourself into the hole.
I'm trying to
save you. I'm trying to help you.
I'm trying to make a point. You're just making me laugh at it.
You want the Nintendo fans to assassinate you? You can't say it's a kid's game.
Oh God, you're telling me to show restraint, John. You're telling me to show restraint.
I'm trying to save you.
God damn it. Okay.
This is when I'm telling you to show restraint, Tom. You know things are bad.
Oh, Tom, go on.
Okay. For what I think is the 5th time now rephrasing my point.
Go on then.
Stop being so offensive.
As well,
Nintendo's for kids. You're old man boys. Look at you. You haven't got girlfriends. You like Japanese culture. Is that what you're going to do, Tom? You're sliding some hate speech there. Is that what you're suggesting? If you like Banjo and Kazooie, you're some weird man boy.
Oh, Tom, are you going to make any point, or can we just move on?
Okay. I will as soon as you stop speaking.
Sorry, make a point.
Okay.
I forgot what you were saying, to be honest.
I don't know if you've even got a point. I'm
Banjo,
interested to see.
Okay,
if
I have a point.
I
have a point. Just shut up for 5 seconds, okay? Banjo-Kazooie, as well as being a game in that heyday of, revolutionary N64 titles, Ocarina of Time, Mario 64.
Sure.
3D stuff, yeah.
So by all means, lynch me for saying this, but I think it still holds up today.
Right.
I will lynch you, Tom, for saying
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Actually, I'll just get a gang from the local town and come round to your house with torches later on for saying that.
What
But
are you going to lynch you for, Tom? Jesus.
Controversy, I don't know. I mean,
we're really controversial, but whatever.
I mean, it had all those things I said before, which I won't repeat again for the sake of repetition. But I mean,
Please don't.
but the first level, I forget what it was called. Something. Oh dear, I've forgotten the name of the first level. But that first level, it was. If you go back and play that, it's just about everything a first level should be.
Money Mountain.
No,
Yes,
I you know what?
I don't know.
I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Payday 3D.
I think it's one of
iconic
those-
characters. I'm a little bit like.
I think because it
okay.
came out in
nostalgia.
the era. Yeah, because it came out in the era of Heyday 3D. People have thrown it in with all the other games that people massively overrate in their
It
minds.
got
because
looked
it's
in,
been-
got sucked into the black hole that was
Yeah.
in 64.
But yeah, I feel like you've got a point there
Yeah.
for Banjo and Kazooie's
So
validity.
back to
was
the
there.
original point.
Yeah, we've been going on this for a while, and then John.
Are you
started-
excited for this game?
Yes, in
Sounds like you
short.
are. Okay, so have they got like a release schedule or anything? Have they said anything? I guess.
think they did say
They're
something,
releasing it
yeah.
October next year, 2016.
Oh, next year. Okay,
late
so,
next year.
So
if I recall.
we've got a while to wait for that. But unless you've got anything to add to that, I think we can safely move on after that debacle.
I think
that
we've
was.
had more or less. I think we've added more or less enough
We've
to this.
touched on everything today, honestly.
Yeah, but what are we doing for time? How's it going?
We
What's
are
the time machine saying?
1 hour 45 in.
Okay, so
We
that's
best.
that's about half an hour for the news. So there's a couple of things I want to touch on. There's a bunch of E3 stuff that came out.
Oh
so-
no, we have done like 15 minutes of the news so far.
Yeah, sure. Two things actually. First of all, there was like some weird Soul Calibur teas that the developers were doing. They said they were preparing something huge or something.
Oh, I didn't
You
see
see
that.
that?
I actually missed that.
Yeah.
They were asking for people.
What size do you go on?
This was like everywhere. They were asking for people's like favorite Soul Calibur character or something.
Oh.
Then they said they were preparing something huge.
Oh, jeez, they're going to try another
Sounds
spin-off.
interesting.
Yeah. So who would you
Hopefully
say?
not a spin-off.
Favourite character?
Maxi.
Oh, favourite character?
I don't know Soul Calibur well enough to have one, but what would you
Ooh.
say for Soul Calibur?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Maxi or Raphael, I'd go for.
Oh, Raphael, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'd have to go with Cervantes, I guess.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
I don't know this game
Dan?
well enough. So I
Pirate.
don't know Soul Calibur well enough. But yeah, that's just an interesting thing that I noted down. That sounds like there's probably going to be a Soul Calibur game coming pretty soon. Whether that'll be,
E3 might
maybe
happen.
Alright.
whether that's going to be 6 or like a spin-off, whatever. So.
I don't think they asked people. Was this naming this specific character thing related entirely to this announcement of something new coming, or is it just a little tidbit they
Well,
did?
they was just they said that in the same thing. They just said we're preparing something huge and
We are preparing something huge. Give us money now, and we'll reveal it.
yeah,
Name us the character you want to see.
kickstart the announcement.
Kickstart an
Sadly-
announcement. That will be coming soon. Kickstart an announcement.
Sadly, we have no money to make the announcement. So can you announce?
If you give us £1 million, we'll consider making Prey 2 again. We'll
Yeah.
consider it. Probably not. But there was some like weird controversy, semi-controversy about all the Battlefront stuff came out. People were, like complaining that there was only going to be 8 maps or whatever.
4 maps I heard at one point.
People were throwing around crazy numbers. People, I don't know if you've noticed, people have been getting incredibly cynical about that game in a way that
It has, but this
confuses me.
is what it doesn't confuse me because this is what we've been talking about. Do you know what I mean? This is where this is heading.
That's what people expect.
People will eventually get to a point where they get sick of the fucking shit.
Yeah.
And this game is it's not the game that's the problem. It's the industry and the way that it's currently operating in what we spoke about earlier. This the season passes and the pay before you play type sort of mentality.
I saw a side-by-side comparison of this and Battlefront 2, the game that came out
people have been doing that a lot, but I get that. I get the comparison, comparing the maps, comparing the weapons, comparing whatever, like completely like robot objectively in the most numeric sense. But that you can't compare the games. You can't say, well, this game's got this many maps and this one's got this one, so this one's obviously better. That's not how it works. Like that's completely.
No, I mean, in terms of
you
what's in
can't
the
just
base
compare
game,
it
it's a
numerically.
pretty decent initiative, to tell how much of a fuck they give.
Well, no, because if you just talk about number of maps, you don't know how. I'm actually going to say that these maps, if we could assume that this is going to be like more like Battlefield, which we assume it will because it's DICE and it looks a lot like Battlefield, these maps are probably going to be pretty big. So to have fewer of them is fine because
and
the
how
maps
detailed they are as well. You know,
and I would imagine, obviously we don't know that much about the game yet, but I would imagine they are going to be huge, sprawling maps like Battlefield. That's what we've come to expect from the Battlefield game. So.
Yeah, you make a point.
Whereas Battlefront, it was a PS2 game, so the maps were tiny and they were like really lacking in detail and stuff. So
I mean,
you can't
I
just
guess
compare the numbers.
After things like Thief, I'm just bitter at the thought of
People
any
are
of these
bitter,
things.
and I get that be cautiously optimistic about stuff. But don't. Every single time I see a news story, the top comment is like, look at these numbers compared, like fucking 12 maps compared to 10.
I don't think the whole comparison thing works,
insane.
but I feel like where a lot of the anger on the internet
I get
came
it,
from
I
about
get
this
it.
was
I totally
pre-order now, blah blah blah.
Totally.
Low content, season pass,
Yeah.
all this sort of thing. I think this is the issue here with this game.
But I just wanted to mention that they came out and said that they're going to be 12 maps at launch, which I think is perfectly fine.
I love the way I say it at launch, but if you pay
totally.
for the season pass, maybe we'll give you a little few more.
You say that actually. So I went on a little journey, if you will. I just compared the number of maps in Battlefront at launch, 12, compared to other shooters, other Battlefield games of modern days.
Let's hear it.
Battlefront 3 at launch had 9 maps. Battlefront 4 at launch had 10 maps. Battlefield Hardline at launch had 9 maps. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, again, smaller maps, had 12 maps. Titanfall actually had 15, which surprised me. That's quite a lot. But again, that's much smaller. So this is quite a lot more than what we've expected from Battlefield. Also, I looked at Battlefield 3, and have you seen how many DLC maps there are? There's like 20.
There's loads.
It's insane. But
yeah.
So if you look at
something like Call of Duty, they have something like 30 maps a piece.
Do you know, though, honestly, although this might sound like it almost goes against my opinion, I sort of don't feel like Battlefield, and possibly even Call of Duty, I could just be totally deceived here. I really don't feel like their stuff's developed before the game comes out. I do feel like they develop it like like Mortal Kombat, that Jason Voorhees DC has already come out. I feel like you were already obviously working on that. Then, the game is going, but like stuff like Battlefield. I mean, Hardline's been out quite a while now, and it's had nothing yet. You know, so I don't know whether they're just withheld it, like let them think we're working on it, and they're just sitting there like drinking coffee and that. But it sort of feels like they develop it after, so I sort of respect that.
Yeah, that was just
to a certain degree.
Something I wanted to mention, that people need to stop being so cynical. But
tell them, Dan. Tell them.
But be cautious. I don't know. I can't tell people not to buy the season pass for Batman, but then totally trust Battlefront, because that's not.
I don't know. We all have different opinions on it, I think. Yeah. So trust whoever you trust.
Yeah, like I know EA's got this
vote John in it.
Vote John this year.
Vote Tom.
Why would anyone want me in public office?
Yeah, he'll lie and tell you misinformation.
And then
he'll tell you sweet lies. He'll tell you everything you want to hear. Tom will, won't he?
So we'll finish up with a bunch
by the way,
of
Battlefront. Have you heard there's going to be no down the sights?
Yeah, that came out today. Actually, which is kind of weird. That seems crazy for like
for a modern day.
I do appreciate that, because that's what the original Battlefront games have.
I don't appreciate that.
It's going to be weird as hell. Like
I think
it's a good indicator that they're trying to make this different from Battlefield as well as modern.
It's definitely going to be different if there's no down the sights. But.
Yeah, I mean Halo only just recently abandoned it, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Abandoned it. Yeah,
well, I mean, it did
abandoned.
It always had. It didn't. Halo didn't have down the sights. It did have a zoom. It did have like a zoom function.
But only certain weapons used.
They've only just recently adopted the.
They've gone the way. I go both ways on that. Like, sure, like if you're gonna make it, I kind of feel like that's pandering. Like, just like they've just gone like, oh, there's no aim down sights, because that's what the old games were like. Those PS2 games that are over a decade.
Call him pandering on this one.
I think it's pandering. Cause
really?
It's like, oh, they don't have aim down sights because that's what people want to hear. Because it's like, oh, it's like those games that came out over a decade ago and now really quite dated.
Yeah, but think about it. A modern day shooter with no down the sights, that wouldn't work at all.
No, it doesn't. That's why I don't want it.
That's why.
What's your point?
No, I mean, in terms of the modern shooters we've received, that must be an implication that this game, they're trying to make it different from modern shooters.
Yeah, like, obviously they can't use the traditional. It can't play like a shooter.
People thought that it would just be Battlefield with
with Star
Wars thing. Exactly now they can't do that. Battlefield does not work without down the sights.
The slight issue is obviously when Battlefield, Star Wars Battlefront, and Star Wars Battlefront 2 were developed, online was not as big a sort of when you develop something like Battlefront now, it is purely for online play.
Yeah,
and I don't know if no down the sights. Third person will actually. Are they going to do third person as well?
Yeah, they do third person as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'll actually work purely online. I don't know why they're doing that. Because just thinking back to playing Star Wars Battlefront, 2, it worked great against the AI.
Yeah, but imagine playing against a player. Like it's very inaccurate.
When you got a player jumping around and crouching and all.
I imagine there'll be sort of third person and first person servers.
Probably that was in the previous games, but it just like maybe pandering's the wrong word, but that's what it feels like to me. It's just.
I think it's the fact that they it basically means they can't make Battlefront anything like Battlefield, and the fact that they've so deliberately emphasised that. Well, yeah, but they had to change things up to the point where. Because
do you think you'll have a similar thing where you get your aim sight and then you can't go down the sights, but you can zoom? If you remember, can you remember that from the Battlefield? You could sort of zoom.
I hope not, because that's like there's a reason we've developed aim down sights and that kind of stuff. It's evolved in a good way. Like, taking it out doesn't make the game better. In my eyes, like, in theory, it makes it worse. Like John said, it makes it a lot less accurate. It makes it a lot less. I don't know. Like, again, we haven't played this game. We have no idea how it's going to work. But
so I have a feeling they might go for the Halo scopes sort of method instead, which will give you the accuracy.
Right?
But
why would you do that? It sounds like they're trying too hard not to be Battlefield when they should just be Battlefield. Like,
no. If they just make Battlefield, as we just said, if it's just Battlefield, then with Star Wars, then
that's what this game should be.
But then, the weird thing is, people say this now, but I always remember when everyone used to say, like, before they made this game, I just want Battlefield with the Star Wars skin type thing.
That's what I want.
Do you know what I mean? Like, with Star Wars vehicles, with the Star Wars... Yeah. I remember when people say that, no, you get it. No, people actually get that. Oh, well, I don't want that. You've got to make it different.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
That.
It's like...
What? I mean...
I want that. I love Star Wars.
I would love just Battlefield.
That sounds great. I love Star Wars.
Star Wars skin.
But I don't want it to play like the old games that are like a decade old. I want it to play like a modern game. And Battlefield's
play like a modern game, but don't just be Battlefield.
That's what I want it to be.
It's not just Battlefield, is it? It's Battlefield Star Wars. We don't want Battlefront. We want Battlefield Star Wars.
Yeah, that's what I want. That's what it'll be. Because it'll be with all like Star Wars vehicles, all that shit. It'll have all the Star Wars weapons and all the Star Wars.
Plus the controls will be really familiar if you play Battlefield.
Obviously, it's going to be similar to Battlefield, but this whole lack of down the sight thing stop it from just being Battlefield.
But I don't think that's a good thing, though. I think it should be that. Personally, anyway.
Well, that's not what the people have waited this many years for.
Is it not, though? Like John said, I think at this point,
feel like
people
used to say, I just want Battlefield. I'd love to have Battlefield in Star Wars skin, all this. Everyone used to say that, then they get it, and now everyone's like, nope, sorry, but you have to make it different, and blah, blah. That's my sort of perspective on it.
Are you saying that they shouldn't make it literally just a straight copy of Battlefield?
Not a straight copy, but I personally, this is totally personally, I would like that. It wouldn't.
Okay.
If this whole making it like the old games, not so much, because like you said, they weren't focused on multiplayer. They were more focused. I know Battlefront 2. Since they moved it to Steam, you could have multiplayer, and obviously the PS2 there was an element of network connection.
Yeah.
But they were mainly single player games.
I mean, that I can get behind. The whole idea of preferring the idea of basically Battlefield with
it would just make it easier for me as well, because I know the Battlefield controls.
Preferring that, I can get behind. Just saying that it would be better, that's when you lose me.
Better for me, personally. I would prefer that.
I don't know, in some ways it could possibly be better, because we know Battlefield works in an online environment, whereas Battlefront, I don't know, I haven't played the Steam version of Battlefront 2.
I mean, to contextualise it, would you have preferred it, Dan, if Bloodborne was literally just Dark Souls with a Victorian aesthetic?
It is.
It is.
I hate to break that to you, Tom, but it is though.
Yeah, like they changed.
Can't you remember when I played Bloodborne and I went, this is just Dark Souls?
Yeah,
why didn't they call this Blood Souls?
It's definitely similar to Dark Souls, but it's very definitive. It's in several ways. It's very definitively not.
They changed a lot of
Souls.
It's subtle things.
I wouldn't say it's definitively different. It's Blood Souls. That game is.
It totally is.
Right.
How much have you played of it, John?
Well, about an hour.
About a review.
Yeah, but no, come on though. What's the difference? They took away the shield. They gave you the shotgun. That's the shield. You play the game. The roll's the same. The graphics are the same. The souls is the same. The bosses are the same.
It is.
I just don't see how you can in any way suggest that that's different. It's the same game.
I'm not talking about.
And people wanted that. People liked that. I liked that.
Yeah, they did like it. Yeah, I'm not saying being drastically different to the point, but I'm just saying if a company basically makes the same game it already made to what? Oh dear, that's just a massive metaphor for the entire modern game industry.
Yeah, that's what people have been doing.
But that's what Dark Souls did.
8 years.
It was almost an insult. They didn't put the Souls title in it because it was just Dark Souls. If you play that game, it is just Dark Souls in a Victorian setting. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that because the game is great.
Sequels to games are fair game. That's fair enough. But I mean, do you see the point I'm trying to get across? Like,
I do kind of.
If you're trying to make a new IP,
Battlefront's not really a new IP though, is it?
No. It's a reboot of an IP, but I don't think that they should make it like the old ones for the sake of it, because they are old games and therefore they are inherently outdated in certain ways.
The thing is, I don't want
to
see
that a Battlefield game aren't.
I don't want to see just a Battlefield game, just a Battlefield Battlefront. As much as I don't want to see just the old Battlefront. I want to see something new.
So what do you actually want?
I want to see something new.
What do you want?
I want to see something new. I want to see what they take from the old ideas, how they adapt them to fit the modern.
Well, then it would be Battlefield.
Yeah.
If you adapted a modern shooter, then it would be something very similar to Battlefield, Call of Duty, etc.
It'll just play
because this is what modern shooters are like, aren't they?
Okay.
We know this. There's evidence right there what a modern shooter's like. Yeah. So what do you want them to create? Some new form of a shooter? Or?
No. I don't mean like reinvent the wheel, but I mean like.
That's what you want. You want them to reinvent the wheel, Tom. That's what it sounds like.
I mean, instead of just being an adaptation, or that's the thing. I don't want either extreme. I don't want it to be just a straight copy of a game they've already made or a straight, adaptation. I want like a reimagining.
What does that mean though?
I know what you mean, but like. Yeah. I know that's asking quite a lot. Like, I think, to be fair, I mean, it sounds like that'd be a risky maneuver to try and reimagine a game.
As you said, we already have a modern day Battlefront. It's called Battlefield. What I want to see is, given the opportunity to actually work with the original source material, I want to see what they can do to make it stand out. What do you mean by the source
material? Just Star Wars?
No, well, he means the Battlefront game.
Yeah. What do you mean about the Battlefront? What is it about the Battlefront games that you think they would take and translate into a Battlefront
do realise
game?
that the Battlefront games basically were just Battlefield.
Yeah, like they already were Battlefield. So what is it about the Battlefront games originally that you'd think that they could take and reimagine or whatever?
There are all sorts of things like
Because it was just Battlefield.
It was just a sort of rip-off of Battlefield,
it was Battlefield with a Star Wars skin where in 2 you could play as a Jedi every now and then.
I just remember, I mean, I'd have to replay the game to remember it entirely, but I do distinctly recall playing the game and really enjoying it and playing Battlefield and just feeling that the two were very different.
They are different because one's Star Wars and one's not.
No, I don't mean just aesthetically, I mean in pure...
But I think that actually... I'm not sure, I'm not trying to insult you, but I think that the fact that it's Star Wars and one's a modern-day military thing will actually have more an impact on your opinion of it more than you think, because it's Star Wars, they can go all sci-fi crazy things in ways that...
You're talking different weapons.
Yeah, you're talking jetpacks, you're talking crazy abilities and stuff.
You make a fun, but I'd have to play Battlefront 2 again.
Whereas Battlefront really just is, at its core, just Battlefield. And that's what this new one will be, I imagine, anyway.
I'm almost certain of those, but I can't really
I like the idea of that, though. I want you to completely reimagine the shooter. You're not just making it.
I don't mean reinvent the wheel. I mean just like...
To be fair, I appreciate what you're saying, but I think that you're saying this... I think you need to go back and play Battlefront.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
It was so ridiculously like Battlefield.
Yeah, I think you're misremembering.
But obviously there was a few little differences, like you couldn't aim down the sides.
It wasn't the same game. Yeah, it wasn't even primarily a third.
But it feels like they drew a lot of sort of inspiration from Battlefield.
But that's weird news for me. It doesn't sound.
I heard it and I was just like,
I want to see how they do it, but that doesn't sound good to me.
I didn't know. I was kind of hoping it wasn't set in stone yet.
Yeah, that sounds unnecessary. Yeah. I'm still holding out hope for that. I love Star Wars. I love.
Yeah.
I enjoy Battlefield.
Everyone is so cynical about this game, though.
Speaking of Star Wars, we just recently had May the 4th, didn't we? Which is like...
Yeah.
Feels like that happens every other week to me, honestly. It's just I was like, May the 4th again? Oh,
what? God damn it.
Yeah. I actually
feel like I'm in Groundhog Day or something like that.
I actually looked into the Star Wars films. I've never even looked into the actual schedule. You know they've got a Star Wars film coming out every year for the next 5 years.
Have they?
Because they're doing they're doing the core 3 and they're coming out every 2 years, and then they're doing 3 spin-offs which are coming out every alternate year.
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be one this
year,
Day, then. Next year, then, up to 2020. There's going to be
It seems like there's always a Star Wars something.
There is going to be a new Star Wars film every year for the next 6 years. How do you feel about that? I feel that's too much.
I don't know.
Reboot Star Wars.
I actually saw the trailers that I've seen.
Well, I don't know what the fuck the spin-off one is, but the one this year looks pretty cool.
I'd have to actually see the films before I judge myself, but.
I have no idea what the spin-offs are going to be, but I hope that 7, 8 and 9, the actual core episodes, are good. But.
I'm like a side film buff. Maybe one day we should do like a sort of thrill
cast
film edition.
We'll do a film.
I did film studies as one of my ASs, so I'm sort of it.
Was that even a D?
Was you passed that one?
No, that's no.
I don't know. I think that'd be interesting if we did like a film cast.
We'll totally
we'll
totally branch out with the stuff.
Maybe as a one-off. I don't think I'm anywhere near knowledgeable enough to do it.
Do it as like an April Fool's thing or something.
Maybe we do it as like a recurring program and talk about how little we know about anything, but. Yeah, so that's Battlefront, I guess.
That is Battlefront, yeah.
Couple more things before we wrap up. Just the major thing was that they finally announced Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5. Kind of weird that
You're pretty excited about this. You're a big.
I am, yeah. I'm a big Tony Hawk's. Well, I'm skeptical. So before we get into that, I will just say that they announced it for the PS4, the PS3, Xbox One, 360. So it's kind of weird that it's old consoles as well. No PC as of yet, but I do hope that they do eventually bring it to it.
Hopefully, yeah.
Just for starters, I think it's kind of weird that they just straight up named it Pro Skater 5, like it's a direct sequel to 4.
I kind of like that because they were being straight up like, this isn't any weird spin-off. Don't expect
it does.
But I've heard some pretty weird stuff.
Yeah, it's being developed by Robomodo, who developed Tony Hawk's Shred, Tony Hawk's Ride, and the HD Pro Skater pack. All 3 of those are just not good games.
HD Pro Skater? That's okay. That was just a remake of the original.
That had problems. That had major
what was wrong
problems.
with it? I played it on console.
I can't think off the top of my head. they cut half the soundtrack in half, and the other half was like complete crap. Because they couldn't get the license stuff sorted out.
Okay.
It was like a different engine.
I played a little bit.
I played quite a lot of it. It felt good for about an hour, and then you start to, like, the cracks all started to fall.
Reminds me of the
oh man,
reminds me of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai each HD pack, because they released 1 and 3 in a pack. They ignored 2 because 2 was kind of crap, but the big problem with that was the soundtrack. For example, in 3, about almost half the songs were cut because there were some copyright issues, and they discovered a whole lot of those things were...
all the new songs just was shit compared to the old ones. I'm trying to think, you're going to get me on a whole rant now. If I can even remember, I played it about a year ago, and I was really enjoying it for about an hour, and I was like, this is...
This is not Tony Hawk.
It was fundamentally different because it was on Unreal. It was on the Unreal 3. And you know, if you remember the original like Pro Skater games, like 1 and 2 specifically on the PS1, they had like a real... I couldn't even describe it. You had to feel it. You know, they had like a real meaty thing, like when you crash into a wall and it's like all the blood and stuff. It was real meaty. And this had a real rubbery feel to it, so it just felt like shit 'cause it was unreal. Like, it was, I don't know. It just felt like shit. That game had a lot of problems that I cannot remember enough to justify. But basically, to have them making it makes me really skeptical.
Doesn't sound good.
Apparently the game's going to include power-ups, and apparently it's going to have like mission-specific abilities. So I don't know.
Just to add another span in the works now, I've heard that you can actually fire projectiles.
What?
Which seems
quite
strange.
That's who? It's a skating game.
I don't know exactly what they're going for here, but it looks like Tony might be able to fire fireballs out his ass or something like that. So,
I think Tony Hawk's son's in it as a
skater. I have no doubt he's a great skater, but cringe.
So what? Is it just like you can throw stuff past us by?
To be fair, I don't know how much of the later skating games you played, the Tony Hawk games.
God, before Ride, I stopped. I'm going to be honest, I stopped at like Tony Hawk's 3. Like,
that's a good place to stop. 3's amazing. 4's just kind of more of that.
I played The Simpsons skating.
Get out. You never played any of the Tony Hawk games?
Maybe for 5 minutes at a friend's
I played the shit out of 1, I played the shit out of 2, I played 3 a little bit. I think I touched 4 a few times, but...
4's like kind of just more of that. Yeah. I think 3's the peak of that series. That's when they sort of... Because they completed the trick thing, so you could go into a revert and then a manual, so you could come up a ramp and come down.
Some technical.
That was
technical knowledge there. Did you see that? There? Just whipping out that technical.
That was why they completed the combo. Where that was missing from 2. If you remember, you could manual, but you couldn't revert. You went up the ramp, but you couldn't revert and then go into a manual, which you could do from 3. So 3's the peak, and then from after 4 they went crazy, like Thug. Do you remember Thug? And Thug 2 was even weird because it was like this crazy kick-ass. What was it? Was it Kick-Ass? No. Jackass, not Kick-Ass. Yeah. It was just total like Jackass tie-in thing with all the characters, and it was like Wee Man. It was fucking terrible. That game was completely.
My favourite skating game was actually just Skate. Do you remember the original?
Skate.
I know you really didn't like it. Which I found kind of weird, but I really liked Skate. Yeah, I really liked.
I just didn't like.
I played like the beginning of that.
Yeah. I like the idea of it. I like the sort of attitude of it. I like the sort of.
It had really unknown skaters.
Yeah,
really
I did like that
stuff,
but it's just
none of the pro skaters.
The fundamental thing of the controls being really. It was a lot more realistic.
I loved it. It was so more realistic.
It was a lot more realistic.
It made tricks really hard to do, and Tony Hawk's was an arcade game.
Yeah, that's why I like that.
Was Skate the one that really weird one, which like there was a massive like totalitarian government that cut down on skating or something?
Oh, I can't remember.
I think so. Yeah,
it probably had some. It had some sort of abstract storyline, but it had loads of really alternative skaters in it. I liked that.
I liked it.
It was very more about street skating instead of like pro skating. I don't know. I really like street.
Like you said, the pro skater games are just totally arcade games. Like they are just like ridiculous. You do like 50 trick combos and get a million points or whatever. But I'm skeptical. People have been waiting a long time. This has been heavily.
Just all that news combined there is just like wow, and like red alarms.
Yeah, I'm very the end of the world. It's happening.
I hope it's good.
E3 we're going to see stuff probably. So
yeah, probably. I'm sure Activision will have something there. But I guess it's good that they finally announced the proper one, because they initially announced like a mobile one, but then they announced this. So that's something to keep an eye on. I'm just gonna say I'm skeptical, but so let's get into some E3 stuff. There's quite a lot of stuff, or E3 onwards. We'll start with EA. They have like an earnings call or something. It's a sort of like conference within themselves or something, like company conference or whatever. And they announced a bunch of shit. They announced their release schedule for the coming year, the coming financial quarter.
Oh, good. Good gumdrops.
So. Some stuff we already knew, like obviously they announced like a bunch of sports shits coming, obviously FIFA, Madden, whatever, golf. Weirdly enough, actually, I found pretty funny that it's not Tiger Woods golf anymore. It's Rory McIlroy.
Yeah, I know. I saw this.
Yeah.
It
It's so crazy.
man. Because since I was like younger, it's
Yeah.
always been Tiger
Tiger-
Woods.
Yeah.
But you remember because the weird like controversy with Tiger Woods, where like
he's done some pretty crazy stuff. I
where
can't
like,
fault him. If I was rich,
yeah,
I'd probably do mad stuff.
like he beat his wife or something, or it's like
He's
he's
done some pretty
insane.
I'm
crazy
sure his wife beat him after he had
Yeah,
all
I
those
think
affairs.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
there's been
he's-
some mad
He's
stuff.
no longer the family man that they want to use on these
Yeah.
games. So now
Who
it's
the-
Rory
I've already
There was
McIlroy.
loads of like
Rory
joke, like
Mac-
memes of like the Tiger Woods games where you just drive around like hitting people drunk and stuff. Who the hell is Rory McIlroy?
I want to say.
I was about to say, just like the most iconic golfer of all time.
I want
I
to
bet
say
he's a good
actually,
golfer.
Yeah, I
He's
want to
gotta
say
be
actually,
really good.
he's the only other golfer I've heard of that isn't Tiger Woods. So I'll
Really,
say.
I
think he's
haven't
Scottish.
even heard of him.
I want to say he's like the new.
Sorry, Rory, if
Tiger
you're listening,
Woods.
mate, but I actually haven't even heard of you. But
I have seen my dad watching golf on TV once, and his name was there.
the problem is,
There you go.
Tiger Woods, right? Maybe from the driving force of his father was a brand. That's why the game
Yeah,
did so well.
absolutely.
Tiger Woods was a brand. He wasn't a golfer because a golfer's boring. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
He was a brand. Rory McIlroy sounds like a golfer. Do you know what I mean? That's not in any way to sort of like mock his
He's not,
skill
yeah,
or
he's
anything.
not,
I
yeah.
imagine he's as good as Tiger Woods, but
Yeah.
he sounds like a golfer. He doesn't sound like a
does.
brand. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Rory McIlroy.
that's like. I saw like the photo of it, and it just looks like there's this guy, just a very generic, average guy, and he's got a
great.
club, and it's
great, I
like
love
Rory McIlroy golfing. It just hasn't got that ring to it,
great,
has it?
it's great.
You know, Tiger Woods, even his
Tiger
name,
Woods,
it
yeah,
sounds
it's
like
a very iconic.
Sounds
name.
unique,
Yeah.
yeah.
That is golf for like a lot of people still.
Yeah.
Even for me, I still think it's Tiger Woods.
so.
It's crazy.
I don't know.
I think it's pretty funny that
It seems pretty weird.
Rory McIlroy's golf.
What always seems to me is like people who didn't actually like golf would buy a Tiger Woods game, but
Yeah.
I don't feel like people who don't like golf would buy a Rory game.
Yeah, people who don't like
Yeah.
golf because there's no brand there yet.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll build one. I don't know. Maybe this
Maybe,
will become his build. But that's just weird. Like, if you're into that, I guess. It's
I
quite-
actually like used to play the Tiger Woods games.
They were alright. I'm sure it'll probably be the same game.
I played up
I
until
don't
about
doubt it.
2004 or something like that, and then
Yeah,
stopped
there's
playing.
a lot
them.
then.
They changed the putting mechanic system in 2005. So games like that, yearly games. The annoying thing is, inevitably, eventually, they're going to hit on a system that actually works. Because like I played all of them, and I remember, going back to like '96 or whatever, then all the way through,
yeah.
and then 2004, I went bang, they've nailed it. Do you know what I
8
mean?
years in.
They've got the system down, they've got the mechanics down.
You did it!
The game is
Finally!
Mummy, they've done it. And then they went, no, Tiger Woods 2005. Do you know what I mean? And they've changed it. They've changed the system because they feel like they have to
They feel
change
like
the
they have to,
system.
even though it's like
Because,
perfect.
because
Otherwise, what's the
like,
point?
what's the point in bringing out another one? So they changed it, and I was just like, you had it.
Yeah,
you had
'cause
it all.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
that like with like football games or
Same
Madden
with
games
FIFA and
or-
stuff like this. They constantly change.
But the thing is with that though, like at least I imagine there's a lot of roster changes and player changes with that. Where I imagine there isn't that many in golf because there's not that many players.
no, there's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
you've
mean,
got
it's-
to change
it's-
something.
It's the same with
yeah.
stuff like that, though, and it's the same with all sports games like that released yearly. You know, I hear people say stuff like, 2002 FIFA, that was the best one, they nailed it.
yeah.
You know, and then obviously they kept changing it, and it inevitably like spawns into something else. Well, the truth is though, could they really just release exactly the same game but just updated? I don't know.
Well, that's
Would
what they've
people
been doing,
accept that?
I think that's.
But
the
no,
kind of
they
thing
always
with
change
sports
the
games.
mechanics.
Well,
Though.
I don't
They
know. I
always
don't know
change
enough
the
about them,
mechanics.
But anyway, just to sort of they said a lot of things. Actually, they announced a lot of things. That was the
Go on.
first one.
Yeah.
They just had like a release. I don't know if you saw it. There was like a picture floating around of like a release calendar, and it had like different games per quarter or whatever. So they said that they're going to have a Plants vs Zombie game in early 2016. So that's like
Yeah, I heard about that.
Didn't they have like 2 not too long ago?
No, that was a while now.
Yeah, so they said that, and then they later updated and said like, "Hey, it's going to be a follow-up to Garden Warfare." Who'd have thought? So,
Yeah, there you go.
And did you play that?
No, I hated it.
Did
I
you-
played it a little
yeah.
bit, but
Didn't touch
I
it.
couldn't say I played it enough to give some sort of objective review of it, but I just played it and didn't like it.
Yeah,
so
I didn't touch it. It looked like
it's not my sort of game.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like Viva Pinata when everyone played that and they loved it. And I played it and I was just like, feels
I like
Too happy.
feels like
Too-
Farmville. I don't know.
Yeah,
Too joy-filled, wasn't it?
There was just no joy in it for me. It was just hard. It felt like work. Do you
Too
know? Like I did some
positive,
fucking
too-
garden. Or something like
It
that.
didn't quite make you hate yourself, did it, John? It just wasn't for you.
No, it just I don't know. Everyone loved it, and I kept playing it. I was just like, what?
Do you like the original Plants vs Zombie games?
No,
I like them.
No.
Pretty good.
That's
I like the first
They're pretty
one.
much
They're
all
just
one
not.
of
They're
the
just
plays.
not
They're pretty
my-
good, actually.
Really, they're just not my
They're
sort of
pretty fun.
games. Yeah.
I mean, it's like a tower defense. It's really simple,
Fun,
but
but fun. I don't know. It was
I like
Pipe
it.
Simulator 2015. Thank you.
And
I
then
don't want fun.
fucking 2 was crazy. It was like fucking. They just like free to play the fuck out of it. It was like really cynical stuff, but whatever. But they also said that they had Mirror's Edge on there for early 2016.
Now here's something I'm interested in.
This
was Mirror's Edge 2, wasn't it, that they announced? Mirror's Edge 1, I absolutely loved.
It was a flawed, very good. It was a flawed, but overall very good game.
I don't feel like it was even flawed.
I feel like it had flaws. Just the fact that
what made that game flawed?
I think the flaw was just the combat. There did not need to be any combat.
I agree with you. It didn't have combat, but they didn't need combat.
That's what I mean. If there's no combat, that game would be way better.
Also, I want to point out,
I totally agree with you. The combat was flawed, but it didn't. It was about free running, wasn't it?
I do want to point out how laughable how linear the game about free running was.
It ruined the
but it didn't. It was one of those games that was linear, but it didn't feel like you were contained in a sort of corridor. Do you know what I mean?
It felt big.
Except the sections when you were literally contained in a corridor.
Right, I'll give you that, but I don't know. I feel like the game sort of didn't feel bad for being linear. Like, say, let me think of a game like Final Fantasy 13 felt bad for being linear because that game didn't feel like it felt like the narrative went and stuff like with the linear sort of environment. So I don't know. Maybe I appreciate that game more than most because I remember at the time.
I love that game. Yeah,
when it released, when I played it, it went to the bargain bucket within a month. This game, it really went low price. So I'm guessing not a lot of people really liked it, but
I enjoyed it. I
think it was more just no one bought it. Yeah, most people who bought it seemed to like it.
It seemed to go cheap really fast.
That's why we waited so long for a new one.
I didn't feel like there was anything flawed about it. It tried to do a free running game. It did the
I would
best
like it a lot
attempt
more
I've yet saw of a
if
free
there was
running game.
combat, like get rid of all the guns, get rid of all that.
The combat was weird,
I think.
But I'm excited for Mirror's Edge 2.
Yeah,
just think that they could do so many great things. They could do a lot of great
things with that. They also announced that this is a TBA to be announced. Also, I should announce the Plants vs Zombie game is also not announced yet, but a to be announced Need for Speed game coming late 15, so that's pretty cool.
Lost interest in Need for Speed.
I like Need for Speed, which is interesting because there wasn't one last year. But
I'd like to see him do an underground game again because.
I like Hot Pursuit.
So I like I liked the. I don't like the arcadey stuff, the Hot Pursuit and stuff like that. But I liked the underground sort of like heavy sort of car modding, aesthetically modding type sort of stuff.
I like Hot Pursuit. I don't know if you played Rivals. That was 2013. That was.
I played a lot of them, but
I didn't like Rivals.
Most Wanted, I sort of liked a little bit.
Most ones alright. Hot Pursuit's kind of my go-to sub-series for that. But I do kind of wonder what they'll do with that. But
I'm not really a big driving game guy. I've played one that was like there are several of these series. Which is the one that's focused on like ultra realism?
There was one. No, he's right.
GT, Gran Turismo 5.
Oh no, I thought you meant Need for Speed because they did one Need for Speed that was like really realistic.
If you talk about the general franchise, then probably be GT that you're thinking of.
Yeah, I played Gran Turismo 5 for a bit at one point.
Forza's kind of like
Forza's more realistic.
It's light simulation-ish, but it's not. It's kind of got.
It's moved away from it now with
for Horizon,
but
a lot more arcadey.
The original Forza was almost a simulator.
Yeah, Need for Speed's generally been quite arcadey, but they've had I think Shift. Weren't they? They were a bit more simulation.
Yeah, Shift was the more focused on the professional racing
rather than just be arcadey. But
Underground 2 was always my favourite.
I'm sure they'll. If this is supposed to be this later this year, I'm sure we'll see this at E3.
Yeah,
but that was basically all that was new. They had like Battlefront, obviously, and all the stuff that we already know. But they were the newer things that were on there. They also predicted that Battlefront's going to sell, or they think Battlefront's going to sell 9 to 10 million, which
Star Wars
Battlefront.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. So. I don't know. Like, a lot of people, everyone I've seen saying that, like, that makes perfect sense. But
that will.
I mean, I guess so.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised. That's not even that much. When you think about how much GTA sold and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's GTA.
Battlefield.
Yeah, but this is Star Wars. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I thought. I initially thought that Battlefield only really sells 7 million-ish, but I think the Star Wars element will push it towards 10 million.
It's just these arbitrary, like really high expectations, which it may fit because it's Star Wars.
Tom, they're not arbitrary. Like a fucking robot has come in and calculated it, and they've printed out a receipt, and they said this game will sell 10 million, and EA's gone, okay, let's ship it.
You know, in EA's eyes, the Tomb Raider reboot was a disappointment for its sales.
For Square Enix, not EA.
Oh fuck, wrong one.
Tom,
do you know anything about games?
Disinformation.
Do you know anything about video games? Holy shit, you're so wrong about everything. But like Square Enix predicted their machine was faulty. They got wrong numbers, and they thought it's going to sell 80 billion. What? It didn't. That's nonsense. But to be fair, I think for something like Battlefront, which is already a popular series, already going to be a very wide appealing thing. It's a multiplayer first person shooter. 10 million, no problem. The machine, I think the machine's right this time. Let's
cold calculating machine that dictates
give it an upgrade. Yeah, you need to do some research on your fucking
publishers. I just got
the
two like big publishers mixed up.
Square Enix and EA, easy to get them mixed up. But anyway,
recently,
Titanfall 2 won't launch until 2016, which makes perfect sense. Like, of course it won't. But But they are working on it, so I like Titanfall. I don't know. Did you play much of that, John?
Yeah, I played a lot of Titanfall.
When they said but I remember the big controversy when Titanfall was announced to be Xbox One exclusive.
Yeah,
they said it was only going to be that Titanfall that was going to be focused.
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Have they made reference to anything about?
Yeah, they've come out and said that Titanfall 2 will be multi-platform.
Yeah, it's multi-platform.
And
then all of a sudden, all at once, every PlayStation fanboy changed their opinion on Titanfall. They're like, actually, that game we all slated
I do like
it. It actually looked alright. Did you say Titanfall 2's coming to PlayStation?
I like Titanfall. I played it. I only played the demo, to be fair, on PC.
I've got a fair few hours. I got the.
I actually have, weirdly enough, like, you know all the weird shit they've been doing? You might not actually. On Origin, they've been doing crazy ideas. Like, they've been adding some new features like game time, where I forget how exactly works. They give you every now and then they would just give everyone like certain amount of playtime for a game. So I have like a week's on playtime of like Titanfall ready to use it.
Does that wear off, or is it?
It's limited. Yeah, it's limited.
I played a lot of Titanfall. I mean,
I like it.
Xbox One when that first came out, it was basically the only sort of game that was on the system.
It was definitely the only multiplayer
anyone who owns an Xbox One played the hell out of Titanfall, and yeah, I liked it. It was pretty decent. Yeah. Nice, fast-paced shooter. Good fun with the Titans and stuff like that. So
yeah, so
Titanfall 2 would be good. That's
pretty much it for EA. Sure, we'll see all that shit at E3, but pretty obvious stuff. Nothing too crazy about that. They didn't say anything about Mass Effect. Obviously, that's very early in production. I'm sure we'll see some.
That'll be at E3. Yeah, there'll be some of the teasers that are going around.
Yeah, there'll be some sort of teaser, some sort of trailer, maybe some sort of story, cinematic concept thing, but. Other than that, Microsoft have been talking about their E3. They're doing a non-traditional press conference, as they say, which will apparently focus on first-party games more than...
It was interesting to see what Microsoft are going to do. I feel like HoloLens is going to be a big thing. They're doing a lot of new IP things. Yeah. They seem to be trying something different, which seems interesting and at the same time worrying, because you just never know. There's been a lot of controversy in gaming recently.
There's been a lot of stuff floating around about new Battletoads, which I think is pretty inevitable. I don't think
there's going to be a Battletoads.
I don't think they should do it. I think it's a stupid decision, but I think they're already doing it.
I don't know. I feel like if it's done right, Microsoft have got a lot of money to put into it. They could make a very good indie game.
Yeah, I just don't think the original Battletoads was good. So
do you not like it? Well, I suppose in that era it was good. It got a cult following for its difficulty.
I just don't like it. I think that's all it had going was difficulty. But that sounds like it's on the plate. Like there's been a lot of stuff floating around. It was in Shovel Knight.
Phil
Spencer was talking about it.
He wore the T-shirt when he came on to.
Yeah, there was a lot of very subtle things.
It's coming.
I'd be amazed if it wasn't. And I was just thinking, what else they have? You know, Gears. I think they're working. Black Tusk is working on new Gears of War.
Of a Gears of War, which I kind of found weird because from what I've heard so far, there's going to be a HD remake of just Gears of War, and it doesn't seem like they're going to do the trilogy, which seemed a bit odd. I thought they'd just do the whole trilogy, but then I actually thought back. This is more on a personal note, I suppose. That when the 360 launched and Gears of War came out, it was quite a weird sort of like multiplayer game because it was third person, which was really strange for a competitive sort of like multiplayer shooter. But a hell of a lot of people played it. You know,
it was great.
Massive like Gears of War 1 online was because obviously there wasn't much.
Really at the time.
There wasn't really many other games, and it was a really good competitive game. I thought about how much fun it was, and I really thought about how Gears of War 2 and 3 didn't really live up to 1. So I would love to see Gears of War 1.
I think 2's great.
I think they were, but I just feel like 1. You know, sometimes you get that simplified version of a game that you just love. It had the right sort of maps; they were all good. It had the right sort of weapons. It felt balanced, and I don't like this whole rehashing games constantly. But the nostalgia in me for Gears of War 1 would like to see it return, and I feel like it.
I'd rather see a trilogy though,
but I don't understand why there's no trilogy. Yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so obviously Halo, we'll see Halo stuff, that's obvious.
There's already been Halo
stuff. Crackdown, they've already announced they're doing a new Crackdown, that's pretty cool. Don't know if you're much of a Crackdown guy.
No,
I like Crackdown 1.
Yeah, that's another one of those games I just weirdly didn't like. It's quite a popular game though. But...
I like Crackdown. Crackdown 2 is not good. What else is there? Scalebound. Do you remember Scalebound they announced?
Yeah, that's the sequel to
Don't know what the fuck
Panzer Dragoon.
Is it? No, is it?
Yeah, that's by the same guys who did Panzer Dragoon.
I thought Scalebound was.
No, it's not. No,
Scalebound's the Platinum Games.
I'm thinking of something else. Yeah, Scalebound looks good actually. Though.
I don't know what the fuck it is, but I remember seeing that initial trailer. It looked pretty cool. It's Platinum though. You know they make cool games. What else have they got? What else did they announce? I don't think Fable Legends. Yeah, remember that? That didn't look great.
Yeah. I don't know what they're doing with that now. I mean, it was originally announced as a Kinect game, then they got rid of it, didn't they? And I don't know. They're doing something different now, aren't they? With it, I don't know.
Also, they've got Rare obviously because that's why Battletoads. I was thinking, Rare would do anything.
Well, apparently they are
doing a new Banjo. Apparently,
well, they're announcing. It's rumored that Rare are announcing a new. Is it a new? They're announcing something at E3.
Well, that'll be Battletoads, probably.
No, it's not a new. It's not an old IP. I think it might be a new one.
Did Rare do Battletoads?
Yeah. Oh. That was a really early Rare thing.
I'm trying to think. I did read the news on this. Rare are doing something at E3.
Yeah.
They're announcing something. Yeah.
I'm just thinking what it could be. Like, what might they do? Like Banjo's always.
I honestly, when you said it, I remember when I read the news, I thought Banjo-Kazooie. God, how much of a spanner in the works would that put for like Yooka-Laylee? But
especially if theirs was shit.
I guess they probably won't do that because most of the staff will be working. The old staff will be working on that.
Perfect Dark.
I'd hate to see Perfect Dark. I really didn't like it.
Well, the 360 one was complete trash, but the original one's pretty good.
I really didn't like Perfect Dark. I don't know.
I'd say in terms of original shooters, it's up there with GoldenEye.
Well, I mean that's because they also did GoldenEye, but
I didn't like Perfect Dark.
Maybe we'll see another GoldenEye.
Maybe I only liked. Oh god, the GoldenEye games have all been so crap. To be fair,
the N64.
Oh, did you play the
the N64 one was good because it was fresh and new at the time, and it was. But I think about any other Bond game or GoldenEye game trash, after that.
Did you play the recent reboot? Not recent now, but it was a few years back now. But the GoldenEye re-release
on the DS.
No,
it was on consoles.
It was terrible. Yeah, it was absolutely terrible.
Yeah, I didn't touch it, but I didn't think it was great. But tell you what else do you think Microsoft would do? That's pretty much it for me. Off the top of my head, Halo's the obvious one.
What about PlayStation? What are they going to do?
I don't think Sony's really talked about it much. I'm sure we'll see a similar thing to last year, like
Uncharted 4,
big focus on indies and all the big stuff.
That's not going to be released until next year, though, is it?
Yeah, I got pushed back.
But they'll be showing that.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure Microsoft will also have a lot of the indie stuff as well.
They're doing Idea Xbox, the indie war. You know what I mean? That continues.
Ori and the Blind Forest and stuff. So they will have stuff, but I think there was
anything else big for PlayStation is to come in.
Not that I can think of. That was also an E3 thing. You see, they announced like a weird PC-focused E3 conference.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah. It's about time they did this. Yeah.
So,
is it PC Gamer or something backing it?
It's being put on by PC Gamer and AMD, who are like a processor PC parts developer.
Oh, that's subtle. But I imagine there's going to be adverts for that strewn.
Well, they have a very vested interest in PC gaming. So
well, yeah, obviously.
So they were just listing off some people that are going to be there. Blizzard, obviously. Daisy / Dean Hall, who's obviously the creator of Daisy. Cliffy B with his Cliffy B with his Project Blue Streak
with his chainsaw,
which is like his crazy Quake-like first-person shooter thing. He's working on Bohemia, which is Armour, Tripwire, which is Killing Floor 2, and Red Orchestra. Paradox, they make a ton of PC shit. Devolver Digital, they make a lot of the PC shit. Cloud Imperium, which I later checked was Star Citizen, so that's going to be there. Humble Bundle's going to be there, A lot of very big. It's about time they
big
had PC focused names.
E3. It just shows the resurgence of PC gaming is really.
I do wonder. I'm interested. I definitely want to see that one. Obviously, I do. I'm interested to see how it will go and how it's going to be structured and stuff because these are very heavily PC focused things that are like only on PC for the most part. Like Blizzard is just like a tie-in of PC development.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. That's definitely one to keep an eye on. Like some fucking.
It's going to be great.
I don't know what day it's on, but. That is
Game of Christmas, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? E3, basically. This is where we're going to find out everything we need to know.
Pretty much. So, anything else? There's a couple of other things that we could delve into.
We've been going on for like 2 hours,
some pretty small stuff. Blah, blah, blah.
God, Blizzard. I mean, between
rest in peace.
All the different, video game companies, I think with World of Warcraft, they've managed to get the biggest body count out of all the video game companies.
Yeah.
In terms of people who've died neglecting children or not eaten.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yeah, they make some
body count.
They make some pretty great
What
games.
A weird way to describe Blizzard.
So that's what they're winning in.
The killers! They're murderers! Shut down servers. They make very few games, but they're all very good and very popular. Immensely popular.
They do. They've got some genius sitting somewhere. Just like, how do you make a game insidiously addictive? I know.
How do you make them all insidiously addictive? Like, you see, Hearthstone reached 30 million players. Like,
isn't it Hearthstone?
You can say it either way. You can say Hearthstone or Hearthstone. It depends. I think for English it'd probably be Hearthstone. But
fair enough.
The big H.
It would be Hearthstone. If you want to say that, if you want to do it in your Japanese accent, Hearthstone.
Hearthstone.
But that's Blizzard. They're evil. They're going to take over the world. Their own back.
I sort of like Diablo 3. So
no, Blizzard's great. They make amazing games, but that's kind of why they're evil.
They come up with some really really dirty winning formula a long time ago, and they just sprinkle it into every game, didn't they?
Yeah,
I bet people want to know what that is.
They just came up with 3 franchises, and they were all perfect.
Do you know the truth about Blizzard, though? I know they're a multinational company now, but I saw some great interviews with some of the early developers, and they're geniuses.
Yeah,
some of the early guys who worked on World of Warcraft, and didn't he have something to do with State of Decay? The guy, I'm pretty sure I'm right on this. The guy who was the original lead designer on World of Warcraft, he actually worked on State of Decay. He started his own studio, I think, and worked on State of Decay. But yeah, it seems like the people that they had some real talent when it came to sort of like
that was insane.
designers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Mm.
So they got lucky,
to
a certain extent, I suppose.
Yeah, kind of. But that's pretty much us. Unless there's anything that comes to the top of your heads, we are pretty much done.
I reckon that's it. Just get that conversation flowing. Do you totally disagree with some of our mental opinions? I don't know about certain games.
We got pretty ranty this time.
I mean, this is our personal opinions, isn't it? This is sort of almost separate from the objective view of the site. We like to give over our personal views on stuff. If you disagree with some stuff, we'd like to engage in a conversation.
Yeah, we won't murder you. Don't worry.
Well, they might murder us. Tom, how do you know that?
That's a fair point. With all the stuff we've said, like bashing certain things.
You called Nintendo kids games. You called a lot.
I call a Nintendo game a kids game.
Oh, Tom, you were insinuating that they all were. We know you.
But that's us. Another week.
Majora's Mask was not a kids game. Have you seen some of the shit in that?
Another week in video games has gone by. Hot
this
debates.
is it. It's gone by.
Hot debates.
Hot debates as always, isn't it? Every time we bring those hot debates.
Contentious stuff coming up here. But thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time on the weird double fucking Thrillcast combined with news and split half, whatever it's called.
Everything.
The madness of Double Thrill come back into you.
See you later, guys.
Every week. Goodbye.